विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस एसी भक्तिवेदांत स्वामी शील प्रभुपाद की जय। इस्कॉन फाउंडर आचार्य बीबीटी फाउंडर आचार्य सेवियर ऑफ द होल वर्ल्ड शील प्रभुपाद की जय। जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर गोस्वामी महाराज शील प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्री हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। ब्रजभूमि वृंदावन धाम की जय। नवद्वीप मायापुर धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। गंगा मैया यमुना मैया की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। सामवेद गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। पतित पावन हरिनाम संकीर्तन की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकाधीश की जय। श्री श्री रुक्मिणी द्वारकानाथ की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। शील प्रभुपाद की जय। शील प्रभुपाद ट्रांसडेंटल बुक डिस्ट्रीब्यूशन की जय। निताय गौर प्रेमानंदे। All glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories to assembled devotees, all glories, all glories, all glories to Shri Guru and Shri Gauranga. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam namaskritya नरं चैव नरोत्तमं देवीं सरस्वतीं व्यासं ततो जायामुदीरयेत्। नष्टप्रायेषु भद्रेषु नित्यं भागवत सेवया भगवतीरुत्तमश्लोके भक्तिर्भवती नैष्टिकी। कृष्णाय वासुदेवाय देवकीनन्दनाय च नन्दगोपकुमाराय गोविन्दाय नमो नमः। Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2nd. No, Maharaj, thank you. Yes, yes. Reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 2, Chapter 7, Text 37. No, 38, sorry. Yarhyalaye shvapi satam na hareh kathasyuh पाषाण्डिनो द्विजजना वृषलानृदेवः स्वाहा स्वधा वषडीति स्मगिरो न यत्र शास्ता भविष्यति कलेर्भगवान् युगन्ते यर्ह्यालयेष्वपि सतां न हरेः कथा स्युः पाषाण्डिनो द्विजजना वृषलानृदेवः स्वाहा स्वधा विषडिति स्म गिरो न यत्र शास्ता भविष्यति कलेर्भगवान् युगान्ते यर्ह्यालयेष्वपि सतां न हरेः कथा स्युः पाषाण्डिनो द्विजजना वृषलानृदेवः स्वाहा स्वधा वषडिति स्म गिरो न यत्र शास्ता भविष्यति कलेर्भगवान् युगान्ते यरिहालयेष्वपि सतां न हरेः कथा स्युः पाषाण्डिनो द्विजजना वृषलानृदेवः स्वाहा स्वधा वषडिति स्म गिरो न यत्र शास्ता भविष्यति कलेर्भगवान् युगान्ते यरिहालयेष्वपि सतां न हरेः कथा स्युः पाषाण्डिनो द्विजजना वृषलानृदेवः स्वाहा स्वधा वषडिति स्म न गिरो न यत्र स्वाहा वषति कलेर्भगवान् युगान्ते यरिहालयेष्वपि सतां न हरेः कथा स्युः पाषाण्डिनो द्विजजना वृषलानृदेवः स्वाहा स्वधा वषडिति स्म गिरो न यत्र शास्ता भविष्यति कलेर्भगवान् युगान्ते माताजी यर्हालयेष्वपि सतां न हरेः कथा स्युः पाषाण्डिनो द्विजजना वृषलानृदेवः Yarhi, when it happens, Alasyeshu Ali in the residence of Api, even Satam, civilized gentlemen, Na, no, Harehe, of the personality of Godhead. Kathaha, topics. Suha, will take place. Pashandinaha, atheists. Dvijajanaha, persons declaring themselves to be the higher three classes. Brahmanas, Kshatriyas and Vaishyas. Vrushala, the lower class. Shudras. Nrudevaha, ministers of the government. Swadha, Swaha, hymns to perform sacrifices. Swadha, the ingredient to perform sacrifices. Vasad, the altar of sacrifice. Iti, all these. Sma, small. Giraha, words. Na, never. Yatra, anywhere. Shasta, the chastiser. Bhavishyati, will appear. Kalehe, of the Kali age. Bhagavan, the personality of Godhead. Yugante, at the end of. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. Thereafter, at the end of Kali Yuga, when there exists no topics on the subject of God, even at the residences of so-called saints and respectable gentlemen of the three higher castes, and when the power of government is transferred to the hands of ministers elected from the low-born Shudra class or those less than them, and when nothing is known of the techniques of sacrifice, even by word, at that time the Lord will appear as the supreme chastiser. Purport. The symptoms of the worst conditions of material world at the last stage of this age, called Kali Yuga, are stated herein. The sum and substance of such conditions is godlessness. Even the so-called saints and higher castes of social orders, generally known as the Dvijajanas or the twice born, will become atheists. As such, all of them will practically forget even the holy name of the Lord, and what to speak of his activities. The higher castes of society, namely the intelligent class of men, guiding the destinies of the social orders, the administrative class of men, guiding the law and order of the society, and the productive class of men, guiding the economic development of the society, must all be properly well versed in knowledge of the Supreme Lord, knowing factually his name, quality, pastimes, entourage, paraphernalia, and personalities. The saints and the higher castes or orders of the society are judged by their proportion of knowledge in the science of God or Tattva Gyan, and not by any kind of birthright or bodily designations. Such designations, without any knowledge of the science of God and practical knowledge of devotional service, are considered to be all decorations of dead bodies. And when there is too much inflation of these decorated dead bodies in society, there develop so many anomalies in the progressive, peaceful life of a human being. Because of the lack of training or culture in upper section of the social orders, they are no more to be designated as Dvijajanas or the twice born. The significance of being twice born has been explained in many places in these great literatures. And again, one is reminded herewith that the birth executed by the sex life of the father and the mother is called animal birth. But such animal birth and progress of life on the animal principles of eating, sleeping, fearing, and mating, without any scientific culture of spiritual life, is called the Shudra life, or, to be more explicit, the uncultured life of the lower class of man. It is stated herein that the governmental power of society in the Kali Yuga will be passed over to the uncultured, godless laborer classes of men, and thus the Nridevas, or the ministers of the government, will be the Vrushalas, or the uncultured lower class men of society. No one can expect any peace and prosperity in a human society full of uncultured lower classes of men. The symptoms of such uncultured social animals are already in vogue, and it is the duty of the leaders of men to take note of it and try to reform the social order by introducing the principles of twice born man trained in the science of God consciousness. This can be done by expanding the culture of Srimad Bhagavatam all over the world. In the degraded condition of human society, the Lord incarnates as Kalki avatar and kills all the demonic without mercy. Om Jnanatimirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Sri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guruho Shri Yuta Padakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatan Sahagana Raghunathan Vitam Stvam Sajivam Sadhvaitam Savadhutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha Namah Vishnupadaya Krishna Presthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine He Krishna Karuna Sindho Dinabandho Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Krupa Sindhubhyevacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadha Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Mukham karoti vachalam pangum langayate girim yat kripatamaham vande Shri Guru Dinatarinam Paramananda Madhavam Shri Chaitanya Ishwaram. Hare Krishna. So I seek blessings of all devotees so that I can speak something glorifying Lord for all of your pleasure and for my purification. So we are in the 7th canto, wherein all the incarnations are summarized, and in today's verse we discussing about Lord Kalki. So today's discussion will see 3 main topics. First, the condition of Kali Yuga just before Lord Kalki appears. Then we'll discuss a little bit about Lord Kalki's incarnation, and the third thing we'll discuss Srila Prabhupada's unique contribution in stopping or slowing down this Kali Yuga effects and liberating all the people who follow his teachings. So the first point about the condition of civilization in Kali Yuga. So for the most of the part of this purport, Srila Prabhupada is mentioning the symptoms of Kali Yuga, and the prominent being godlessness. Prayena alpayushas sabhyam kalo asmin yuge jana mandasumanda matayo manda bhagyat uparata. The sages in Naimisharanya, they were knowing the kind of people will be there in this age. And therefore, for their welfare, they started the whole sacrifice. And so, the main characteristic of Kali Yuga is quarrel and hypocrisy. In 12th canto, chapter 2, there is a detailed description of symptoms of Kali Yuga. And if we hear, we can see that it's pretty, pretty annoying and pretty, like, we can be fearful just by reading those, It says the government, like in this purport also Prabhupada is mentioning, that the government will be that of a uncultured animals, It's quite heavy words, Prabhupada is using. Who are there not to protect the citizens, but to exploit them. It is said that the taxes will be so much that the people, they leave cities and go to forests just to save themselves. They'll have, they'll forget about meat eating. They'll even eat humans. It's pretty scary. And Prabhupada is mentioning that the whole civilization would be based on externals, not on tattva jnana. They'll even forget the name of God. What to speak of his activities and his pastimes. You just see, Rama, Krishna. Nobody even won't know that. Just see how scary it would be. It is said, like we have our Sankirtan devotees, they mercifully go out and they chant. So even if somebody who has come with all intention to enjoy, on Santa Monica Pier or Venus Beach, their all sins are getting destroyed just by hearing the holy names. But just see the situation that people will even forget these names. Forget about Sankirtan. So this would be the scary situation in which Lord will appear. And when such situation appears, what happens? Lord uses, blacksmith method. He comes as Kalki, one-shot destruction. Srila Jayadeva Goswami, he describes, in Dashavatar Stotra, Mlecha niveha nidhane kalaya sikara valam dhumake tumiva kimapi karalam keshavadrita kalki sharira jaya jagadisha hare jaya jagadisha hare. So he says, O Lord, all glories to you, O Keshava, who will appear as Lord Kalki, will appear like a comet and carrying a terrifying sword for bringing about the annihilation of the wicked barbarian men at the end of Kali Yuga. So comet, we see sometimes they just pass by, very fast. So same way, Lord Kalki, he'll appear like a sudden flash and he'll use chopping technique, just, a sword. No more discussion, no more Bhagavad Gita, no more, Sarva Dharman Parityaja. Just simple destruction. Why? Because it is said when the tumor is too big, it's not treated, it's cut. So that's how, Lord will, do that. And then again, the next, Satya Yuga will begin. So in 12th canto, it also describes that how Lord will appear, So it is said that, the Lord will appear in the most eminent Brahmana of Shambhala village, the great soul Vishnu Yasha. Then he will mount his swift horse Devadatta and sword in the hand, travel over the earth, exhibiting his 8 mystic opulences and 8 special qualities of Godhead, displaying his unequaled effulgence and riding with great speed. He will kill by the millions those thieves who have dared dress as kings. After all the impostor kings have been killed, the residents of the cities and towns will feel the breeze, carrying the most sacred fragrance of the sandalwood paste and other decorations of Lord Vasudeva, and their minds will thereby become transcendently pure. So this is how actually his description of, Lord Kalki is mentioned, his village where he is appearing, in Kalki Puran even it's mentioned, the wife is going to marry. So now just see the effect of Kali Yuga, like yesterday's class, Gaura Chandru was mentioning that there are some thousands of sects within Buddhism. But just see the effect of Kali. In India, there are different Kalkis who are proving that how he is not real Kalki, how I am real Kalki. So there is one famous Kalki like this, and the another little less famous Kalki, he has his website detailing out, okay, this person is not Kalki because Kalki is Supreme Lord, he is supremely beautiful. You see, this person is old, and he has his photo. The Lord, it's mentioned that he has special symbols on his hand, like Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma and water pot, all those. He doesn't have any symbol and, his picture of his hand. So like this, he's taking from Shastra's evidences, which is correct, to defeat that other fellow is not Kalki. But towards the end, he says, but I am that real Kalki. Just see the height of ignorance. And he never shows his hand. He never puts his face because he knows, it won't match actually. So just see the effect of Kali Yuga. People dare to call themselves God. There is another interesting logic. He says that this is in detail, like Kalki Puran explains in detail. This that the wife of Lord Padmavati, whoever comes in front of her with a lusty desire will get converted into woman. So he says that all the people who see my wife, they get controlled by her, but I am not controlled by him. Now just see, he's quoting Shastras, but there itself he's twisting it. So Shastras say that they will get converted into woman, and he says that they act like a woman. So just see a conditioned soul when he wants to prove something to such an he can put such an illogical arguments actually. If we just keep our eyes open, we can just see it's nothing but illogic. And it is said it will appear at the end of Kali Yuga. So why now? It's not end of Kali Yuga anyway. It just started, right? So we see that this Kali Yuga is like this, which is progressing, and since even Lord is called as Triyugi. So though Lord comes as Buddha and Kalki in this age, still he is called Triyugi because Buddha and Kalki, they won't preach Yuga Dharma. One tries to bring them to human level, like by stopping animal killing, and then another, he just wipes them off. There is no question of teaching. But whereas the Yuga Avatar, purpose of Yuga Avatar is to preach and to establish the Yuga Dharma. So Lord Kalki, he's not going to establish anything. He's just going to start new Yuga itself. So therefore, Lord is called as Triyugi. Now with this background, we'll see that what Srila Prabhupada, and Prabhupada one more mentions actually about decoration of dead body. This is one of the frequently quoted words by Srila Prabhupada. He mentions Bhagavad Bhakti Hinasya Jati Shastram Japas Tapas Aparanasya Dehasya Mandanam Lokaranjanam. So this is from Hari Bhakti Shuddhodaya. Prabhupada quotes this so many times. He says, without Bhagavad Bhakti, without glorification of the Supreme Lord, whatever we have is simply a decoration of dead body. So then, Prabhupada not only he is condemning this coming age, and then if we read the news with current politician, we can see it's all coming true to a certain extent. But Prabhupada was a part of solution. He said that yes, this is Kali Yuga, but there is a golden age even in this age. That is appearance of Lord Chaitanya. And he fearlessly preached this. In the Bhagavatam preface, Prabhupada writes that Tadvag Visargo Janataga Viplavo Yasmin Pratishlokam Abadhavyapi Namani Anantasya Yesho Ankitanyas Shunyanti Gayanti Grunanti Sadhava. That on the other hand, the literature which is full of descriptions of transcendental glories of the name, fame, form, and pastimes of the unlimited Supreme Lord is a transcendental creation meant for bringing about a revolution in the impious life of the misdirected civilization. Such transcendental literature, even though irregularly composed, is heard, sung, and accepted by purified men who are thoroughly honest. So Srila Prabhupada's unique way in stopping Kali is he gave us the Srimad Bhagavatam and its Bhaktivedanta purports. In India, somehow I have born, in a very pious family, in a pious village, it's of, Lord Shiva's one of the prominent place, Jyotirlinga. But there also I could see, we used to have Bhagavad Katha. We had just Sri Ram temple, Ram Sita temple next to our home, once a year. So now Kali Yuga had just started, and I was was born in India in one of the most pious cities. We were not having any meat shop or liquor shop in our vicinity. Just imagine. But even at that place, Srimad Bhagavatam was discussed once a year for 7 days without purports. Most of the times, 10th canto, and most of the time, Ras Leela. What Srila Prabhupada did? He gave us first canto, second canto, the heavy purports, You just read, first canto, especially, the Indian BBT, they have this Dharma book, the Prabhupada's lecture on first canto, second chapter, I guess, Such amazing classes, It literally shakes us up when we have those verses, one after other, which really tells actually, the importance of human life, Deha Patya Kalatradishu, Atma Sainyashu, Asatsu Api, Tesham Pramatta Nidano, Pashyanapi Pashyati. It's like somebody is slapping you, if you are a little sensible, you feel like that. And then on top of that, Srila Prabhupada's purport. And what Prabhupada did? He said, don't discuss Bhagavatam once a year, 7 days, only for 7 days. He said, Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Though it is in Srimad Bhagavatam, in most cultured places, that verse is very, somehow ignored. They don't discuss. Of course, some places are there, some sampradayas where they do study Bhagavatam. It's very rare. But Srila Prabhupada's unique program was to set up this culture to study Srimad Bhagavatam. And as it is mentioned in this purport, the only way we can stop Kali is by taking shelter of Srimad Bhagavatam. Krishna Swadhama Pagato Dharma Jnana Adibhisa Kalo Drushta Dushamesham Puranarko Udinoditaha. So when Krishna went, that was one of the questions, when Krishna went back, whom does the religious principles take shelter of? And to answer to that, Shukadeva Goswami mentioned that it's Srimad Bhagavatam, it has arisen. So Srila Prabhupada's unique way is that he came on Jaladuta and maximum of his luggage was what? Trunks of Srimad Bhagavatam. In Prabhupada Lilamrut, we see how painstakingly he has printed the initial, cantos in India. It's heartbreaking actually. So, if we just sincerely take this, then we'll be saved from this effect of Kali. And then, even when we are in this nice oasis in the desert of Kali, like the ISKCON family, even here, Kali tries to enter. How? Same. When we forget the real purpose, we are here for glorifying Lord and to serve Him. And when we bring this, selfishness of, puja, love, pratishtha, then Kali enters. There is no threat for ISKCON as a society from outside. But from inside, if we are not careful, yes, we can use the same philosophy to prove how I am better than, the other devotee. And to prove that, okay, how this devotee is fallen, we can even quote verses. And then by that, what's happening? We are creating our own grave, So, always reminding, especially I am doing this for myself, reminding ourselves what we are here for. Like in hospital, if we go and we keep, instead of focusing on taking medicine, if we take, hey, this guy has a, malaria, hey, this guy has dengue, hey, his fever is 105, I'm only, 100, If we keep doing this, forgetting taking medicine, what will happen? We'll go in ICU and the other fellows, they'll get discharged, and go back. So same way, within devotee circle, we'll have all our natures, all our previous baggage of karma. But if we let Kali enter, quarrel and hypocrisy, then what will happen? The others will go back, will remain. I am specially reminding myself. So, therefore, we should be very much careful that we just don't do things externally. Yes, Prabhupada has given this blacksmith method, follow morning program, do, Bhagavatam study, serve devotees, go back to spiritual world, chant nicely. But if we are not careful and if we just do it mechanically, then Kali may take advantage and we may miss the boat, we may miss the train, whatever we call. So, it is said that when the charitable person is naturally charitable, but when there is a drought or when there is some pandemic, they become more charitable. So Lord, by His, if we have to go by the words, the philosophy of God, He doesn't have to give and take with this Kali Yuga. These are all duffers, the people in age of Kali, not the devotees, who have been given chance in Satya, Treta, Dwapar Yuga. They could not clear there, so they are, here, including myself. But Lord, seeing their condition, He has become more charitable. He came as Lord Chaitanya and He said, just take it. Just come for the exam, I will write your paper. And not only I will make you pass, I will give you distinction, honor rolls, whatever they call it, right? What we have to do? Just sincerely accept. And Srila Prabhupada so mercifully has made the program so practical. Though we are a brahmachari or grahastha or vanprastha or sannyasi, we can still follow it from whichever place we are in. So that's the unique way. And then for us to always remind the effects of Kali Yuga, there are so many nice Vaishnava songs. One of them is Kali Kukura Kadan Jadi Chaho Hai Kali Yuga Pavana Kali Bhayanashana Sri Sachinandana Gao Hai. So we can remind ourselves by nicely chanting this Vaishnava song so that the evil dog of Kali runs away and we are saved. So to summarize, we discussed the symptoms of age of Kali, pretty frightening. Main being the godlessness, Second, in that age, Lord appears as Kalki. He doesn't preach Yuga Dharma, but he just chops like a tumor, just kills everyone. And third, we saw that Srila Prabhupada's unique contribution in making us study Srimad Bhagavatam every day so that this dog of Kali is put at bay. And then we also discussed that how even within devotional circles we need to be careful so that this tendency of Kali, quarrel and hypocrisy doesn't creep in, and we stick to what we are here for. So with this, would like to stop. Any comments, questions? Yes. Yes.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much. Okay. At one point in the class, you were saying how, because Prabhupada even says this in the purport, how people will forget the name of God.
Mm-hmm.
And then you were saying, people will even forget that God's name is Krishna and Rama. How horrible would that be? But like you mentioned, you're from a pious town in India. But from America, we didn't know the name of Rama or Krishna until we got Prabhupada's books or came in contact with devotees. So most of the people, that's already happening. Most people don't know the names of God, at least in the West. And to take it a step further, I haven't looked this up, but I've heard from numerous people that in China, they don't even have a word for God. Like the word God does not exist in their dictionary.
Yeah.
That concept doesn't exist. I don't know if that's still the case, but I've heard that from a few devotees. And Prabhupada is saying here in the purport that in Kali Yuga, the Brahmanas, they come from they're unqualified Brahmanas. They're not real Brahmanas. And I had this quick story at the University of Las Vegas. I was distributing books and I met some boy from India. He was a student there, and I tried to give him a book, and he started laughing at me because I was trying to give him the Bhagavad Gita, and he said, "I'm a Brahmin. I'm coming from a family of Brahmanas. Who are you to try to give me the Bhagavad Gita?" His exact words were, "I know way more than you because I'm from India, and I know that the Bhagavad Gita, it's all mythology." That's what he was saying. And one more other thing I would like to say, or this is a question. Prabhupada's saying here that the government post will be taken by unqualified men, by Shudras or less than Shudras, and we see that's already happening. I read this thing from Bhakti Vikas Swami one time on the internet, and he was talking about voting, because some devotees had. They came to him with the question, should devotees vote, or where do we stand with that? And Bhakti Vikas Swami says it's up to the individual, but please do know that if you do vote for a person, you have to I forget the exact numbers, but the king or the president takes on so much karma of the citizens, like 50% or something like that. Remember?
1/6.
One sixth of, yeah. So Bhakti Vikas Swami is saying if you vote for that person, you also have to share some of their karma because you're voting him in office. So I don't know if that's at least according to Bhakti Vikas Swami. Do you have anything to say about that?
I have heard from scriptures about this 1/6 karma. This comes in story of Yamunacharya, wherein he was debating with this Kolahal Pandit. That time he says that he puts a proposition that prove that king is impious. And then the Pandit could not prove. So then when he was asked to prove, then Yamunacharya says that the king takes 1/6 of karma. So this is that reference, where it comes 1/6. But I have not heard any reference wherein those who vote who take karma. I doubt it would be there because people doesn't used to vote for king. In the previous ages, there was no voting system. The king was king and his son, the prince, used to be the next king. So there was no role of people in making the king. The second incident I recollect is when the Vena was creating trouble. the Brahmanas decided who should be the next king. Like they churned his body and Prithu Maharaj was, born. So with this, what I can see is that even if the king has to be removed, it was a group of Brahmanas who did that. So there was no question of common man coming in picture in deciding the king. So at least I don't know if Prabhuji, if somebody has any reference, but this is what my understanding. I never heard or read anything from scriptures about people getting karma back from king. Yeah.
Thank you.
Any other questions, comments? Okay, I think it's time is done. Okay, Granthara Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Kalki Bhagwan ki jai, Nitai Gaur Premanande, Hari Hari Bol.